Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the deep dive session on Sri Lanka's software and services industry, conducted by SLASSCOM, the Sri Lanka Association of Software and Services Companies. We will hear from the Secretary of the Ministry of Technology and eminent speakers from Axiata Group Berhad, HCL, 99X Technology, and Informate World.
Welcome to Invest Sri Lanka 2021. Thank you very much for joining. Let me first briefly talk about Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is a rural country. 80% of our population are rural based. We have a very strong rural economy in our country. We are blessed with a lot of natural resources. And above all, I would say education and young people, young generation is one of our biggest assets. The government gives total free education from primary to the university. All school-going children are compelled to complete their O-levels. It's by law. So essentially, we have a huge strength in educated youth. Now, it's our responsibility to exploit this situation. It's our responsibility to make sure that they are employed in a suitable capacity. Successive governments in the past 20 years have spent a huge amount of money on education. Looking at this, the present government has brought in huge revolutions in the sector of education. We have identified technology as the enabler in gapping the have and have-nots. We are 100% sure that this is the way to go on. In line with this, the government 5 months ago formed a technology ministry, bringing all the technology entities and organizations under this ministry and headed by the President himself. So we are planning to move this country from a third world to the first world using technology. Today we have identified technology as the enabler. As such, the ministry has a huge responsibility towards making this a reality. The IT BPM sector, which is the driver in all this, is handled by the Information Communication Technology Agency of Sri Lanka. The telecom sector, the Telecom Regulatory Commission, is doing a huge work in making sure that every citizen in this country have access to reliable and affordable communication. The nanotechnology, the biotechnology, the industrial technology, they all come under this ministry. And we as the ministry has planned a huge drive towards this in making our country a technology-based country to help. And one of the key issues that we have taken into consideration is technology diffusion. Two major factors where we have identified is actually building capacity in line with the requirement of the technology sector and the communication facilities. In taking the communication facilities, the TRCL or the Telecom Regulatory Commission has taken on their shoulders a huge task to ensure that the whole country gets 4G and fiber optic capabilities. We have already started this drive, and also we are making sure that our 10,250 schools are given fiber optic connectivity within 10 months. This is going to change the whole paradigm to ensure that every school has this facility, and we are very strong in making distance education also a reality. As I said, during the last 2 decades, we have invited the private sector to participate. And today, we are inviting all of you to be a part of this whole model. The private sector is actively participating in all these activities, including communication as well as building of capacity. We are 100% sure that this model would pave the way for us to become one of the most vibrant developed countries in the world. We have identified that we need young, educated kids to come and join the technology sector. We have had a plan. We already had planned to make sure that the capacity increase at least by double. We invite the private sector companies to come and join with us in making this a reality. Further, under technology diffusion, we are going into health, education, tourism, and almost all the areas that we are very strong on. To do this, we have planned a huge program with the Board of Investment, as well as building 5 technology parks that are going to cater to this requirement. From this point, I would discuss mainly on the IT BPM sector. The IT BPM sector has done appreciably well. Last year, we did almost 1.2 billion worth of exports. And this is about 12% of our service export. As an industry, we are in 4th in line. With all these challenges, the IT BPM sector did 7% growth, which amply prove the strength, the capacity we have in our country. But traditionally, we have been doing exports of software and services. And today we have identified that we have to work with large multinational IT BPM companies or IT companies or companies who are involved in technology. For this, we have come out with a very strong proposal to the government to build 5 technoparks. These technoparks would be very unique in nature. They'll be hybrid technoparks. I may just briefly discuss about these technoparks to give you confidence, to invite you to be part of these technoparks. Our country has all the 4 seasons at a single time. We have selected these locations considering this environment. At one time, it's summer, and the other side, it's like midwinter. So we have selected areas where it is easily accessible and also the ambience. Let me give one example. One of the areas that we have selected is Kandy, the famous central region. We have selected the park just around the corner of the golf course. The park is surrounded by the Great Victoria Reservoir. So we are bringing a lot of recreational facilities for people who come to enjoy and work. We have seen that especially in the IT BPM sector, recreation is a must. And we have seen wherever we have a fun environment, the productivity is very high. So we are going to bring a lot of features. Technically, obviously, we are providing fiber optic capabilities. 5G connectivity, power, 24 hours power. These are, of course, you will get anywhere, I suppose. But what we are proposing is very different. We are proposing an environment where the owners of the company, the managers of the company, the workers can stay together inside the park. We are going to have huge recreational facilities like swimming pools, gyms, 3D cinemas, food parlors. With all this, we are bringing an environment for the young guys to enjoy work while they are immensely delivering the technology outputs. Further, the government has also decided to give special concessions to the technoparks. We have taken a lot of legal barriers out. We have brought in very soft laws to encourage our customers. We are going to clear the customs procedures. We are going to clear the financial procedures. There will be a separate central office in Colombo to help all the technological parks. We are even going to the extent of helping the students in their education. So this is going to be a very, very unique technoparks. I must emphasize these are not IT parks, but technoparks. If I take another instance, where we have in the tea plantation, Nuwara, it's a cold climate where it goes to about 6 centigrades. We are going to build a technological university in adjacent to our technopark. People who may know, who have tasted Ceylon tea, would vouch that ours is the best in the world. But we are still using some of the very old technologies to extract the aroma of tea. We are going to do research on tea and vegetables in the Nuwara Park. So all our parks would have different themes. And any of you all who are customers in this park can move around these 5 parks. So you have a flexibility, your employees would have flexibility. So we are inviting you all to come and invest in Sri Lanka. First of all, you may come as a BUI member, a BUI accredited company, which you will entertain huge amount of facilities. Again, you can also become a customer or a client of our technoparks. So I'm sure you will consider investment in Sri Lanka very seriously. And we invite you to come, and hopefully we can build a mutual, long-term relationship with you all. I thank you for being with us, and I hope we'll meet soon. Thank you.
We're not looking for the 9-to-5ers. We want the game changers. The bold thinkers. The fearless leaders. You're not ordinary. Your career shouldn't be either. "11 countries, 11 companies, diverse digital businesses. The choice is yours. Take pride in the work that powers amazing cities. With the most cutting-edge communication technology. Dive deep with us, bringing connections to far-flung societies and entire nations. Bounce ideas around with 13,000 innovators from 42 different nations. Experiment, create, all in the name of advancing Asia. With respect to our planet, this is our promise, our purpose. Together, we'll find your boundaries and break them. No matter how high up you go, you will be learning every step of the way. Here, anyone can become a leader on their chosen path, or carve out a career that doesn't yet exist.
The question is, are you ready for it?
Esteemed government and industry leaders, policymakers, investors and participants, very good day to all of you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Vivek Sood. I am the Group CFO of Axiata. Apart from the role of CFO, I also sit on the boards of subsidiaries, including Dialog and Axiata Digital Lab in Sri Lanka. Axiata is a leading regional telecommunication group with a footprint spanning 11 countries in ASEAN and South Asia. Our diverse and purpose-driven talent base of more than 12,600 employees service the needs of more than 157 million customers. Amongst the regional telecom players, it ranks number 2 with revenues of upwards of $6 billion. Our vision is to be the next generation digital champion and pivot from pure play telecom access to digital businesses. To meet this vision, we focus on 3 pillars: digital telco, digital businesses, and infrastructure. We were amongst the first telco in the region to invest in digital businesses back in 2013. Over a period, we learned a lot with these investments and have pivoted to focus on 2, digital financial services and analytics, data and advertising business. Our infra business focuses on owning and operating telecom towers. We operate nearly 32,000 in 8 countries. Digital telco business, by far the largest, has presence in 6 countries. We are either number 1 or strong number 2 operator in each of these countries. In Sri Lanka, our subsidiary is Dialog. We are extremely proud to see the impact Dialog creates in the lives of people of Sri Lanka. Our strategy is to win in new normal. New normal is all about shift from hardware to software, from access to services, from segmentation to sustainable digital ecosystem, from products to platform. With the ability to orchestrate ever-changing needs of consumers, Axiata remains committed to advanced technologies, services, digitization, and convergence. Pandemic has accelerated what everybody knew will happen sometime, to a new reality, to a new normal. Software and platform layers have become so critical to orchestrate consumers' demand. Hard coding and inflexible systems requiring months to customize are no longer possible. Today's consumer needs power in his or her hand and have no patience to wait for days and months. Software must be intelligent, just not to give what consumers want, but also analyze and predict offer ahead of consumer needs. Days of microservices and business intelligence in the hands of consumers. Hitherto, telcos relied on third parties for system development and managed services. This was possible at the back end and front end was segregated. Now with the agile approach in solving consumer problems, it is no longer possible. Hence there is a need to in-house capabilities. Telcos are gradually taking control of software brain and shifting to in-house. And in this move, provisioning of higher level and software IP architecture, innovation and embedding analytics and AI. Axiata realized the need for and took that decision back in 2018 to set up Axiata Digital Lab, in-house software company to serve the need of OpCos. This was somewhat ahead of thinking by its peers in the region. Several locations were evaluated to locate the nucleus of software strategy. Excellence in innovation capacity demonstrated by Dialog was one factor, and so also quality of track record of the software development service industry in Sri Lanka stood out. Evaluation was done for within and outside our geography. We were also influenced by the positive experience in terms of investment and operation facilities by BOI experienced at Dialog. This led to the selection of Sri Lanka as the nucleus, initially a 300-person center with the investment of $12 million, encompassing the group's software development center and Group Security Operations Center. Setting up this facility was painless, and I'm happy to say that over the last 2 years, we have grown from 300 odd developers to 800. And we have also set up satellite centers in Malaysia with 100 and Indonesia with 50, and looking at opportunities in Bangladesh and Nepal. These investments are doing well for us in progressing towards one of the best software, analytics, digitization, and cybersecurity capabilities. Being in-house does not give ADL right to go get business. They do compete with other vendors and over time proven itself as a preferred partner for OpCos. Expertise is built not just solving current software needs, but also Axiata is committed to spending on R&D to build the state-of-the-art capabilities for the future technological evolution. Axiata is committed to build future potential of ADL and create it as a forward-leading technological center. We are happy with our decision and support we have received from the government of Sri Lanka to take this idea developed 3 years back to one of the best software centers. While we are setting satellite offices, Sri Lanka remains the hub and the control organization. Many thanks. It's been a pleasure to be here in this forum. Have a good day. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nisha Talagala, and I'm going to be speaking in this segment about artificial intelligence in Sri Lanka and the activities of the AI Center for Excellence of SLASSCOM. So first of all, why Sri Lanka? There are a number of elements in Sri Lanka that are extremely good for AI development as well as technology companies in general. The well-ranked in South Asia among human capital skills and the quality of the workforce, the friendliness to business, and the growth of new graduates, and also particularly the level of IP protection. So all of these provide the world with a great way to do business and set up offices and capabilities in Sri Lanka, particularly around artificial intelligence. So to show you kind of a little bit about what that is like, I would like to share my own personal experience. I am the CEO of AI Club and Pyxeda, which is an organization that provides AI infrastructure and AI education to K through 12 students, as well as certain segments of professional learners. This company was founded in the United States, and I am personally in the United States in California, and that is where the company started. However, we decided to grow the company in Sri Lanka about a year ago. And as I mentioned earlier, what do? We build core AI infrastructure, which means that we build software that other people can use to build artificial intelligence solutions in both machine learning and deep learning. And so we build a lot of software that runs on the cloud that makes it easier to build agile AI workflows. We use this software in the education sector in order to help individuals of all ages learn how to build, manipulate, and practice artificial intelligence. So that is the core mission of the company. We started our Sri Lanka office in June 2019, smack in the middle of the pandemic. Now, less than a year later, we are at 11 employees in Sri Lanka and growing. The Sri Lanka team has already launched multiple features in our core product and are a critical component of the operation of our company and its interaction with its customers. We found that even in the middle of the pandemic, it was actually relatively straightforward to set up the business, get the machinery going, hire remote employees, interview them, make them job offers, get them trained. All of that worked out, very seamlessly, and frankly, given that it was a pandemic, amazingly seamlessly. What do we have in Sri Lanka in the land of artificial intelligence and technical development? We have an engineering team that does the following core elements. We have machine learning engineers who develop, new algorithmic capabilities for our platform. We have backend engineering that develops data preparation and data cleaning and data processing things for our platforms. We have front-end web engineering, and we also have integration with AWS and the cloud. We have found that we can hire people in Sri Lanka relatively quickly that have the core skills needed in order to build these kinds of capabilities, and they are extremely productive, and the Sri Lanka engineering team has developed a great number of features and value for our company already. So now let's talk a little bit about the AICX. So the AICX is the AI Center for Excellence of SLASSCOM, and its mission is to help Sri Lanka become extremely competitive in Asia in the land of artificial intelligence. Now, this is a very important area because artificial intelligence is a massive global market that is growing very rapidly. And people all over the world and companies all over the world are looking for ways to grow their AI competence and looking for what countries they can partner with in order to do this. So the AICX is building core capabilities inside Sri Lanka that make those individuals, those organizations competitive with respect to the technology development and application and commercialization of artificial intelligence. So there are a number of focus areas of the AI Center for Excellence, and I'd like to talk about each one of them in turn. So the first one is awareness. So the idea here is to build awareness across people of various roles in the job market, everything from CEOs to practicing professionals to college students and beyond, and help them become more aware of AI, how they can apply and use AI, as well as how they can learn AI and become skilled in the capability. That is the awareness pillar. The university relations pillar is working with the local universities to refine and add to their AI curriculums to make sure that students who graduate from these universities have a strong machine learning and related software background and are able to go into the workforce in companies like mine and be able to contribute on a machine learning and AI capacity. AI policy and Sri Lanka focuses on policy items. As AI becomes more pervasive, it's important to ensure that there are policies with respect to everything from governance to ethical use of AI and so forth. And the AI policy organization focuses on helping on that front. The capability development pillar focuses on core capabilities and skills training for people who are looking to enter the workforce or are in the workforce and are looking to apply artificial intelligence. So the capability development pillar, as distinct from the awareness pillar, focuses on developing skills like, for example, the ability to use cloud software to do AI, the core development of algorithms, projects that utilize artificial intelligence, how to bring them to life, how to make them functional, how to make them production ready, things of that nature. The market scoping focuses on the different markets and the needs of artificial intelligence in those markets and what can be done to improve capability and effectiveness and training and delivery of products in those spaces. Finally, the commercialization and IP creation focuses on encouraging commercialization of artificial intelligence products, artificial intelligence technologies, creation of new startup companies, encouraging innovation and the transition between innovation to commercialization, as well as helping everybody appreciate the ways in which IP can be created, protected, nurtured, and basically used in this context. So put all of these together, all of these pillars, particularly individually as well as in combination, go a long way towards helping the generation of the Sri Lankan workforce, as well as the next generation of the Sri Lankan workforce, become extremely competitive in the land of artificial intelligence, and thereby create companies of their own, enable local companies, as well as become a resource for partnering with other companies around the world. What has the AICX done since its formation earlier this year? So this is the first year of the AICX in its current form with these pillars, and a number of activities have already occurred. In particular, two activities that we did recently. One of them was the Cloud AI Workshop. Now, what are some of the recent activities of the AICX? So the AICX was started earlier this year, and there have been a number of activities. I'm not going to list them all here, but I'd like to highlight a few of them for you. So we recently had a Cloud AI workshop, and what the purpose of this workshop is to help individuals, particularly professional developers, engineers, and such, to understand how to use the powerful artificial intelligence tools available among the cloud providers. So we focused specifically on Amazon Web Services and went over a tool chain and explained how to build production-grade artificial intelligence workflows in the cloud using AWS tools like SageMaker, Lambda, API Gateway, S3, and so forth. That was one workshop. Another workshop that we did was for an entirely different audience, but still about artificial intelligence. This is about demystifying AI for business. So there's many AI technologies out there. There's a lot of news articles about them, a lot of hype. And this workshop helped business leaders understand what are the AI developments, the AI trends, how to get started on applying artificial intelligence in their business, how to go from an idea to a successful return on investment or ROI, how to think about their teams and things of that nature. So these are just two examples of the work that is currently being done by the AICX. Now, what is upcoming with the AICX? There's a number of commercialization activities that are ongoing, which will materialize in the next few months, particularly in the area of the CEO Roundtable, which is to help understand the needs of CEOs and what can be done to help them become more aware of AI, as well as commercialize AI within their respective companies. The CEO Roundtable will be coming shortly. There's also a number of efforts on higher education to work with the local universities to create curriculum specialization specifically for artificial intelligence so that new graduates are not just generally skilled in computer science, but also have specialization skills in AI that they can apply directly as they go into the workforce. So those are some of the activities that are currently going on with AICX. Thank you very much, and I hope this was helpful.
Sri Lanka, the pearl of the Indian Ocean, home to over 21 million people, an island that's as geographically diverse as it is culturally. The commercial capital, Colombo, is a bustling metropolis where the traditional old world charm coexists with state-of-the-art modernity. Today, HCL Technologies, a global IT leader, opens its doors in Colombo.
Hi, my name is Totatri and I'm the Center Head for HCL Sri Lanka. I joined HCL 20 years back and it feels like yesterday. We are building a global HCL delivery center right here in Colombo that gives the best experience to the talents who join us.
The newly opened HCL Sri Lanka office will introduce a new generation of Sri Lankan IT professionals to the company's global network. Its unique culture of ideapreneurship and building relationships beyond the contract.
Ayubavan Lanka, and I'm extremely happy that we are getting started in Sri Lanka. The reason as to why HCL decided to come to this country is that we do believe that we have excellent talent here. Not only experienced IT professionals, but also youngsters who are raring to become IT professionals. Courage is the unstoppable value that HCL has. And we do, when I say courage, it basically means that people who come in will also speak up, contribute fresh ideas, and bring about the value in every other transaction that we have, be it with customer, be it with the fellow team members, or whether they're going to work across the globe with the other HCL colleagues.
With roots firmly planted in Sri Lanka, HCL is ready to inspire and nurture an entire island of ideapreneurs to grow and create the next generation of life-changing technology today.
Greetings from HCL. Let me take this opportunity to thank SLASSCOM, my fellow speakers, the Board of Investment, the various educationists, academia, and other industry partners, colleagues of HCL, as well as the other industrialists who are part of the SLASSCOM forum, for giving me an opportunity to speak today. You know, HCL came to Sri Lanka last year. We started our operations in September, and we are over 600 employees already, and looking forward to adding a few thousand more from local talent pool. Given that there are many topics which are being discussed as part of this 3-day forum, I chose a relevant and probably a topic which can be spoken any day, any time, and for any number of years, and that's all about talent and talent development. You know, when HCL actually started to do the due diligence as part of the New Vistas program in Sri Lanka, we came across the Sri Lanka talent pool to be well educated. And as we started acquiring people who are IT as well as non-IT candidates from the local market, we do see that there is reasonably a high level of digital literacy as compared to many of the peer countries where we are already operating. As a testament to the country's free education system in place, I do see that there is low gender and geographic disparity in education, providing potential investors like us with an equally talented labor pool throughout the island. Furthermore, I do know that there are plans for significant investment in the country's university system. So, before I embark onto the topic of how HCL is planning to build a talent pool in the country in the coming years, I would like to spend some time about some of the good practices I do believe that has already started in the country, which we would want to leverage in the coming years. We are aware that the cabinet is looking forward to coming up with a free education investment zone. It means the country will be attracting a whole lot of new universities globally who will come and set up highly probable STEM related higher education system in the country. You know, as we speak, we are completely aware that there is a huge gap between the demand and the supply when it comes to the IT as well as the newer age digital capability among the graduates. And therefore, I do strongly believe this education investment zone, which would possibly attract some of the global universities, can help us with the right kind of talent. We are also aware that the government has approved the expansion of the national university system with the addition of 10 new universities, which will help the university with an uptake of the students from the 30,000 to 60,000 numbers. I think such measures, along with programs, really would draw a lot of bright young minds in the country to embrace technology sector as their career. And I also believe that such steps will also to some extent will start containing the immigration issues that we have in the country.
for the talent to move outside Sri Lanka in search of technology jobs. So having said this, I'm aware on one end that the STEM education is going through a reformation. The whole university system is going through a different set of new guidelines in order to attract more talent, more youngsters to join the technology courses. However, as a company which is looking forward to aggressively growing in Sri Lanka, I do see there are a couple of opportunities where we believe HCL can play a very important role. Sometimes, when people come and ask me, what is the basic reason, one fundamental reason for you to come into Sri Lanka, we have always said that it is the talent. Largely because of the young workforce, which is raring to, take up higher education and continue their careers, IT careers in the country. We want to be part of that success story. And we do believe the next decade, which is the decade 21, it is all about building the right kind of talent in the country. So the growth for HCL would come along the lines of how we will get the right kind of talent, invest in upskilling them, and also bringing all the new age technologies into HCL Lanka, and start delivering IT services from HCL Lanka to our global customers, which include the Fortune 500 as well as the Global 2000 customers. And therefore, when I look at the talent today, we have these young, bright engineers who come out of colleges. But if you really look at the curriculum does need strengthening, largely from the jobs that the youngsters will take with us. And therefore, we have already started speaking to some of the top education schools and have a program called the In-School Grads, wherein we get the best students from the second year onwards, and we start imparting them skill-based curriculum, which means whether it is in the new age technologies, which would include AI, machine language, the full stack Java, which is to do with the software developer, or the analyst role, which is largely on the infra and the cloud computing, or any of the hyperscale related curriculum. We want to actually start encouraging the students from the second year onwards in their engineering curriculum to include what we term as a job-based content. So with some of the universities, we have already tied up, and we will be taking students from the second year onwards, give them the right kind of training, provide them internship or what we call as on-the-job training in their respective customer accounts, and then absorb them as the full-time employees. And also those who have completed their degree program, we have also started absorbing them with providing them the right skill. They come in with what is called as a near-fit competency. So we are providing a delta training to them so that they become right fit for the jobs. In our last few months of experience, we find that the quantitative capability as well as the analytical and logical thinking of the students are really superior and in par with India or any of the Western counterparts from where we are also taking young candidates today. And therefore, we would want to leverage their quantitative capability to start, focusing more on research and more on innovation kind of projects. Therefore, we are also focusing on bringing capability centers, in HCL Lanka. So the capability centers will largely focus on specialized training for some of the freshers as well as experienced IT professionals who are also joining us. Now that I've spoken a little bit about freshers, and I want to also talk where we are largely from the experienced professionals. Yes, Sri Lanka has to offer quite a bit of IT professionals experience. So what I understand from the statistics is there are over 88,000 IT professionals in the country, of which large pool, almost about 50% of the pool or 50 to 60% of the pool are at the bottom of the pyramid. So if you really look at the middle layer and whom I would call as the subject matter experts, we don't have many. Probably about 20 to 25% of the overall talent pool must be in the middle management, but they're pretty much scattered in the technology as well as the domain understanding. So right now, I also see that it's a very, very important criterion among all the industry as well as for the country to focus on upskilling the current workforce, current experienced workforce. That is something that HCL will be focusing as well. We are planning and we have already started, in fact, doing what is called as hire and skill and deploy. So we hire people with near capability, we upskill them, and we put them into what we call as the Mode 2, Mode 3 technologies, the digital and product kind of environment. And much of the other jobs today in IT is not just limited to technology. There are other DevOps kind of an environment, agile environment, and a whole lot of other technologies which would be required, what I call as the core and the adjacent skills, which are required for somebody to perform the job. Most of the job roles that we have also require not only just high-end computing, but also able to understand the customer problems by directly interacting with them. From the design to the deployment phase, someone from Sri Lanka must be seasoned enough to have matured conversation, work with virtual teams across the globe, and be able to deliver 24/7. So it's just not the aptitude, but also the kind of attitude and the articulation skills that someone should need in order to work with our colleagues across the world. Do I see some of this already as a culture in Sri Lanka? Pretty much yes. I do find that the talent in Sri Lanka is raring to learn. They are willing to unlearn to learn. They do want to get exposed to the latest technologies. They are very eager to work across cultures. I see that they are able to quickly adapt and adopt to what the changes in the ecosystem. I do find that they all have the hunger to grow. I think that's most needed for a young nation like Sri Lanka to take that risk, to take that first step to say that this is the real country for IT, and start attracting more and more of IT companies into the country. Having said this, I also want to touch upon a very important and a very special and dear program, and where HCL is a pioneer. This program is called HCL Tech B program. We've been extremely successful in deploying this program not only in India but also in some of the Western countries. The Tech B program is all about skilling the A-level completed students for a job in HCL, and these are all entry-level jobs, be it a software developer, an analyst, a design, analytics, various job roles which otherwise only the graduates would be performing. We prepare them for the entry-level jobs, and we do have work integrated higher education provided to them. The work integrated higher education is very interesting. It's also in the fact that the curriculum is aligned with the career pathway that the student will be taking while they are in HCL. So for the first time through the Tech B program, we are able to really bridge the divide that exists between the academia and industry as to how the careers are progressing. So many times a graduate will come and we find that the curriculum that academia has to offer, the training pedagogy that the academia has followed are completely different from the way that the person has to perform the job. So through the TechB program, we are able to actually have both the tracks, the academia track, which is the higher education track, and the job track, going in parallel, hand in hand. So it's like a ladder. The milestones have logical connect. So the TechB, who is an A-level completed student, takes up a job with HCL, and then he has an incremental learning on the job. And what he learns incrementally, he or she learns incrementally in the education, feeds the right kind of concepts for the job. So the concepts come from the higher education, and the job, the incremental job he or she does, the practice part comes from the actual job. So I do believe that this is the kind of progressive, career-based curriculum and career-based skilling that Sri Lanka should encourage. And I take this opportunity, this forum, to call upon the government, the Board of Investment, SLASSCOM, and all the other educational bodies who are watching or who are participating in this forum to start looking at designing curriculum and partnering with companies like HCL to go with a program like TechB. That's my sincere ask, because that's how many countries which have missed the inflection point, where they've had a large number of resource pool, I mean by the head count of youth, and they fail to catch up with the employment opportunities. It's largely because the industry and academia didn't shake hands. So they missed out the race and the right kind of employment for the youth. And now they are trying to catch up and bring up programs like TechB. But if you look at Sri Lanka, we are at the right point where we have good number of youth in the system, having the right kind of aptitude and attitude to learn and embrace new technologies and also to grow IT. Here is the government, where the president himself has said that this next 10 years is all about job-based skilling. With all these stakeholders having the same intent, I think a program like TechB would make a big difference. So having said this, I really congratulate Sri Lanka for taking this bold step to say that this is the right place for the IT and for investors to come and set up knowledge industry. I am happy that SLASSCOM, as well as all my other peers in the industry, calling Sri Lanka as the land of ingenuity, which means that this is a place for innovation, and anything that we do, and from education to skilling to employment to delivering IT services, will all be around innovation. I'm happy that the universities have started to shift from just being knowledge centers to competency-based learning centers. I think we are doing the right thing, and this is the right time for all the stakeholders to come together and take Sri Lanka to the next level. HCL is really committed and will continue to collaborate with all the stakeholders for both capability as well as the capacity building of talent in the coming years. Thank you very much, and wish you all good luck, and let the post-pandemic bring a lot more success and happiness and good health to all of us in Sri Lanka. Thank you.
Ayubowan. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. The IT BPM industry has seen a compound annual growth of more than 15% of its export revenue during the last 5 years. Similarly, the workforce number of the industry has also grown by more than 20% when you look at the compound annual growth during the same period. And we expect the industry to continue this trajectory of growth in the years to come in both revenue and staff numbers. So as most of you know, we have a target of $5 billion export revenue and 200,000 workforce by the year 2025. So while we focus on increasing the workforce, we are also committed as an industry to ensure that we get the high caliber candidates who are industry ready and future ready to join our industry. The IT BPM industry has a very strong brand, the Island of Ingenuity IOI brand, which promotes Sri Lanka's ingenuity in knowledge solutions and innovation offerings. And we, as an industry, are committed to ensure that all the companies, and for that matter, all the employees in our industry, deliver the IOI value proposition, the capabilities and competencies we promise in our brand. In this context, the industry initiated several programs that would help the industry to increase the numbers as well as the quality of our future employees. So we looked at the education landscape of our country and identified the various segments that we should focus for our interventions. If you look at grade 5 to 10 year students, we have around 2 million students in this segment. And then the students who complete O levels and A levels, we have a cohort of students of around 75,000 at each level. Then we have students who qualify A levels but pursue professional qualifications and certifications thereafter. We have a large cohort of students in this segment as well. Then you have the IT undergraduates, both in the state universities and non-state universities. And then you have non-IT graduates who can be converted to IT BPM workforce. And then you have the IT students at vocational training institutes. So we designed interventions for each of these segments in order to make the best use of our talent and also to improve the quality of our tech education so that we produce employable workforce at the end. We started most of these as pilot projects and proof of concepts, and now each of these initiatives are at different maturity levels. For kids who are in grade 5 to 10, we designed a program called the Tech Kids. Tech Kids is an IT educational platform which aims to provide free IT education in coding to children aged between 6 to 16. The objective is to create interest in IT among children at an early stage and also to create a digitally literate next generation of students. Already, more than 2,500 children have gone through a modularized, structured program where we have also brought in additional components such as AI, data science, cybersecurity into the program. Then for school leavers, we created a tech platform called Future Careers Bridge, where any person who is keen to pursue a career in IT or wants to learn the basics of IT can register free of charge and take on various modules, what we call challenges. Similarly, IT companies can also register on the platform and select candidates for internships based on their performance, which is showed on a leaderboard. Apart from the tech challenges, we have also included modules in soft skills and professional skills, and we are now introducing new tracks in other tech related careers in demand. This platform is also promoted in universities during the first academic year or at the orientation stage. And then in collaboration with the Open University of Sri Lanka, we initiated a 6 months boot camp for a selected set of students selected from the Bridge platform. Technical lectures were conducted by both academia staff as well as industry volunteers, and we also included soft skills modules and frequent mentoring and coaching sessions by industry mentors during these 6 months. With the success of this boot camp, we have now taken this to the next level, where we launched a Bachelor of Software Engineering Honours degree in partnership with the Open University of Sri Lanka and the University Grants Commission. The intention is to target 10,000 students during the first year. Then, to increase the quality and employability of our IT undergraduates, we have strengthened the engagement with our universities and have come up with several initiatives. In order to engage with our universities and higher education institutes in a consistent manner with regard to the capacity building initiatives of the industry, SLASSCOM initiated the University Cooperation Framework. Here, both parties mutually agree to engage with each other in a more focused and a streamlined manner and to consider each other as a strategic partner in several areas. Number 1, embracing the Island of Ingenuity brand. Sri Lanka's talent plays a key role in delivering the IOI brand promise to our clients and stakeholders. They are the brand ambassadors. And in this context, we want our higher education institutes to embed the IOI brand proposition and inculcate the brand values in the students produced by them. So we want all our students, even when they are still at the university, to know the IOI brand, to understand the brand promise, and to inculcate the capabilities and competencies the brand talks about. Number 2, on degree curriculum, where we mutually agree on having industry resources to continuously engage with universities in reviewing and updating the curriculum for new trends and emerging technologies, and obtain industry feedback on the curriculum coverage, including core professional skills, and tailor it to suit the industry requirements. Number 3 is on industry placements, where we mutually agree on facilitating virtual and in-company industrial placements. And we expect this engagement to further build on the quality of our talent. Also, we have designed a framework for co-professional development, where we look at key attributes such as leadership, communication, relationships, global and technical acumen, and entrepreneurship. We will work with our higher education institutes to map each of these to different levels of our degree programs, so that core professional skills are embedded throughout a student's academic journey. We expect our students to be more industry ready and future ready through this exercise. We have also designed a virtual internship program called the LEAD program, initiated for IT undergraduates to link them up with the industry while they are still at the universities, so that they could get hands-on experience in carrying out actual projects. For this, again, we have introduced a learning platform for the students on core professional skills and soft skills. Then there are degree conversion programs where we try to convert non-IT students into IT careers. In one such successful project, we plan to convert statistics students into data science. Then at the vocational training space, we are carrying out upskilling and capacity building initiatives so that the quality of the tech education is improved. There are teacher training programs being conducted for their IT teachers so that the students are educated on the dynamism of tech industry and to educate and inculcate self-learning and professional skills among the students. We also collaborated with the Vocational Training Authority to help them in developing curriculum in 6 different tracks for one of their key programs in converting 2,000 art graduates into tech. So in all these initiatives, we have partnered and collaborated with many stakeholders in both government and private sector. And we have also received support from several donors such as Royal Norwegian Embassy and ULEAD for these initiatives. And more than 150 volunteers of the IT BPM industry have joined hands to design and roll out these capacity initiatives alone. And to conclude, we hope to roll out these initiatives in a more larger scale so that it enables us to produce good quality, future and industry ready workforce who would be the flag bearers and brand ambassadors of the Sri Lanka's IT BPM industry. Thank you.
Building a digital product is complex, demanding, uncertain. And that's where we come in. We're a group of creative thinkers, digital product specialists, dreamers, and team players. With over 15 years in the industry, 350 innovators, 50 awards, building over 150 digital products for our global customers. We engage in your awesome idea and help bring it to life. 99X Technology is now 99X. We're tech team players.
Hi everybody, my name is Honningsvåg. I'm pushing 60 now and I'm a proud father to 5 children, ranging from the age of 35 years to 2 weeks. Believe that or not, I'm a Norwegian citizen living in Oslo and I have been an investor in Sri Lanka since 2016. First of all, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak at the Sri Lanka Investment Forum. It is a great honor for me. I would of course have liked to participate in a live event and face-to-face, but a virtual happening is a good initiative under the current circumstances. I would like to share with you some of my experiences as an investor in general, and more specifically my experience from my investment in Sri Lanka. My background is from the ICT industry, and since the mid-80s I have served as a leader for several organizations, and later on in my career I have founded or co-founded several companies. I have played an active role in the Norwegian equivalent to SLASSCOM, ICT Norway, for many years, and served on the election committee for the last 8 years. My last venture was a consultancy focused on design and technology. The company was founded in 2001 with a subsequent investment in a development center in Poland a few years later. In 2014, we had grown to more than 300 people and decided to divest, and the company was sold to a Finnish private equity firm. I left the company 1 year after, and since then I have worked full-time as an advisor to business owners and as an investor. My investment profile is pretty diverse, but for the most I do active investments and take on board positions or advisor roles in connection with my investments. Currently I have approximately 15 investments, ranging from the angel investments in a few startups to early stage companies, as well as more mature companies in the scale-up and expansion phase. Currently I hold positions in Poland, America, and in Sri Lanka, in addition to Norway, of course. From day one, I have been actively seeking high growth potential companies with repeating revenue models. When I have turned my eyes to international investment opportunities, I've tried to carefully consider political risk, review the tax system, look into how the legal system is working, the development of the banking system, etc. In addition, I have paid attention to cultural aspects of the countries and attractiveness from more softer angles. In Sri Lanka specifically, my investment is with 99X. I was introduced to the company in 2015 and became a shareholder a year later. I was then elected chairman of the board, and since then I have been working actively as a liaison and scout for new business and engagement in Scandinavia. My due diligence of 99X was a little odd, since it was performed by my wife during a vacation of her in Sri Lanka. She's a certified public accountant, but fortunately she understands more than numbers. The feedback from her when she called me after the meeting with the management team was all but numbers. It was about great people, a strong culture, and good values. And it came with a marching order to get involved with Mano Sakaram and his team. This simply can't go wrong, she said. So for the company, I was convinced very soon. Sri Lanka, however, I knew very little about. So Mano gave me a crash course in one of our first personal meetings and convinced me about why Sri Lanka is very attractive for international investors. I have never regretted the decision to acquire shares in the company and become part of the ICT industry in Sri Lanka. I can easily say that it is my best investment ever, and that is for a number of reasons. In spite of some rigorous signature procedures, I've been pleasantly surprised of how effective the bank systems are, how fast money transfers go, and the level of personal follow-up I enjoy from NDB Bank. The favorable taxation of our industry is another factor which is very attractive to investors. For Sri Lanka's leadership and governmental bodies, there is still plenty to improve to make it even more attractive to foreign capital, however. Adoption of GDPR and increased focus on data protection and privacy needs to be backed up by legislation and active policy and not left to private companies to deal with alone. In Europe, this is one of the most common issues I'm dealing with in dialogue with potential clients to 99X. Customers want to know what kind of protection they have in countries where live data can be accessed. I'm proud to say that 99X has come really far and taken measures that many European companies are not near to as we speak. For banks and the public sector, you should adopt digitized solutions more widely. For instance, not to cater for digital signatures in 2021 is simply not good enough. In addition to making it attractive to invest in Sri Lanka, you should make it easier for Sri Lankans to invest internationally. Companies like 99X are attractive investment opportunities overseas and are perfect targets in the ongoing consolidation that takes place around the globe for digital service companies as well as for software companies. However, this will very often require personal reinvestments from the sellers. This is because there is normally an international holding company that wants to acquire 100% of the target company, and the sellers are requested to participate as shareholders in the holding structure, as they want key resources to have a skin in the game going forward. For investors, this is a risk mitigation factor that needs to be catered for. Keep in mind that investors in Europe and elsewhere in the Western world want to secure their investments as much as possible, especially when we talk about people's business, such as a consultancy or software development company. Today, it is way too complicated to do such reinvestments and apparently applies too much uncertainty trying. I will strongly argue that this type of investments from Sri Lankans are highly interesting for Sri Lanka as a country. It represents a huge growth potential and creates massive job opportunities for thousands of talented IT workers in Sri Lanka. After several years with strong growth and nice profits in 99X, we have decided to look for further expansion opportunities. So a year ago, we contracted with Cal in Colombo to perform a valuation of the company and to verify potential interest from global investors. Cal did a really good job, but after a careful review of the feedback and summarizing the type of investors we attracted, we decided to focus on Scandinavian investor markets in a reflection that our strong local presence there would give us a solid foundation for future growth and potential add-on investments in combination with local owners. We hope to be able to announce something soon, as the appetite for 99X from investors is good. We have already signed an LOI with a Norwegian company that we want to acquire, and we have a long list of potential add-ons once we have the investors in place. The goal for us is to bridge the strong and scalable position we have in Sri Lanka and great access to talents with the market needs in Norway and eventually the rest of Scandinavia, where the supply of IT developers is far from meeting the demand side. Many Scandinavian companies are forced to outsource development tasks to cover their needs for digitization, and we want to have our fair share of these opportunities. So the takeaways from my side would be for international investors to jump on the first plane to Sri Lanka when the pandemic allows you to. Get in contact with some of the industry associations, such as SLASSCOM, and ask to be introduced to investment networks, such as the Lankan Angel Network. Join them and learn from them. I'm sure they are more than willing to introduce you to their portfolio companies and share with you their experiences with the growing number of startups in the country. For the authorities, I would say that you are doing really great in some areas, and your investor-friendly policy is something I hope you have a long-term strategy on. But it is of utmost importance to allow local investors to invest internationally. I'm sure that this will attract even more capital to the country and open up for a new type of investors from abroad. For companies in Sri Lanka, I would say, look to 99X. The business model and culture they have refined over years has made it easy to acquire and onboard new customers with a different mindset and behavior than what you would normally find in Asia, with a different schooling system, culture, and a different way of communicating. This is an important topic and a big subject, so it can probably be a separate theme for our next conference if you allow me back on stage. But if you're able to successfully adopt your company to match the company culture we have in Western countries, although there are also strong cultural differences within Europe, and have a solid financial performance, you will become a very attractive target for Western investors. I can't wait for the day I can travel back to Sri Lanka again. It's now over a year since I visited the country in my heart and had the opportunity to enjoy the great ambience, nice people, beautiful nature, and your great food. Thanks again for having me, and best of luck with promoting Sri Lanka as a fantastic country to invest in. I'm happy to serve as a reference and evidence of how smart, easy, and lucrative that can be. Stay safe, and thank you.
We are delighted to introduce Informate Private Limited. With a proud history of 16 years, Informate today is the most experienced and most successful BPM in the country. Informate has a wide array of services, including accounting, HR, and a range of back-office services. We are proud of our portfolio of over 100 clients in 4 continents. With glowing references from some of the biggest and most recognized brands in the world, Informate is backed by Sri Lanka's largest and most respected corporate blue chip, the John Keells Group. One of our clients had this to say: "We have made gains across the board. Informate is not a basic outsourcing provider. They are constantly looking for the value add and new ways where they can help us lift our finance activities to world's best practice." Our work for our clients is performed on leading systems, including SAP, Oracle, and JD Edwards. Our world-class methodologies include the ACE transition methodology, Lean Six Sigma, and ISO 27001 certified information security practices. Jehan Perinpanayagam, CEO, has served at Informate since its inception. He serves the industry as Director SLASSCOM and Vice Chairman ACCA Sri Lanka.
On behalf of SLASSCOM, I am delighted to present this case study on rural BPM. Sri Lanka's IT and BPM industry has rightly been called a hidden gem. An important facet of this hidden gem is equal opportunity employment. Nearly 50% of the workforce in the BPM industry is female, including the leadership. Another important aspect is the environmental social governance, which I would like to elaborate on. And I'm delighted to bring the natural village of Mahavilachia in the north-central province of Sri Lanka. If you were to travel to Mahavilachia, you would pass the ancient village tank built by one of the kings of old. And in this most rural of setting, you would come to a modern facility. And if you were to step inside, you would see boys and girls hard at work on their computers. And if you were to observe closely, you would see them working on SAP, the world's leading ERP system, processing thousands of transactions each day for leading corporates in Sri Lanka. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the country's first rural BPM. So the idea, the breakthrough idea came about like this. We had my company, Informate Private Limited, which was set up as the shared services and BPM arm of Sri Lanka's largest listed conglomerate, the John Keells Group. And Informate would handle transaction processing, accounting, and finance work for the subsidiaries of the John Keells Group, which numbered over 60. And the idea was that we in turn would subcontract or sublet a percentage of our work to the unit in Mahavilachia. And they formed a legal entity, a company called On Time Private Limited, which was owned by the associates themselves. So each of them becomes shareholders with a stake in the company, so that they had 2 revenue streams, a per transaction fee and dividends on the retained earnings of the company. So this was the unique model that was formulated. And the vision was poverty alleviation in villages by providing sustainable employment opportunities for youth in their own village, so that they did not need to relocate to the big cities to find work. Also to develop a model that could be replicated in other villages of Sri Lanka and so support the growth of BPM at a national level. Mahavilachia, 12 years on, currently employs 20 associates, and over 100 have received employment over the last decade. Many of them going on to secure very good employment in the private sector and also in the public sector. They handle over 50 functions on SAP, payments, invoice processing, receipting, bank reconciliation, journal entries, over 650,000 transactions a year, and their accuracy and turnaround time are world class. And we support growth and development, not just by providing work, but by providing training, soft skills training, leadership development, supporting their infrastructure and office equipment, mentoring especially their leadership. And this has proved a very sustainable model. We celebrate milestones, 5th year anniversaries, 10th year anniversaries. We mark birthdays, like this was the 5th anniversary of Jaffna BPO Technologies. Annually, at the end of each year, during Christmas time, the associates of all 3 units are invited to one of the cinnamon hotels, which is owned by our parent company, for a social and a lunch. And it's an opportunity for us to say thank you for a job well done throughout the year. We were unwise as to challenge Sinigama BPO Technologies to a championship in cricket and in netball, and we were comprehensively beaten in both. So there is great talent in rural Sri Lanka, not just in work and in accounting and in BPM, but also in terms of sporting talent, outstanding abilities and fantastic work ethic. We have here a comment by Shalika, the CEO of On Time Private Limited, where she says, we have learned important lessons by working at On Time. We have learned how to run a business, how to set regulations and implement, how to solve problems, how to plan and implement projects, and how to work with others. Today, I am safe and comfortable and happy and earning a good salary thanks to this business. Based on the learnings and the experience and the success of the BPO project in Mahavilachia, we were able to replicate this project in 2 other parts of Sri Lanka, in Sinigama and in Jaffna. The second center was in the tsunami-affected village of Sinigama, which is in the south of Sri Lanka. We started small with just 2 associates working in partnership with the Foundation of Goodness, but we were able to rapidly expand our volumes. And today, Sinigama BPO Technologies is 10 years in operation, employs 15 associates, handles over 60 processors on SAP, very smart kids, very intelligent, over 500,000 transactions annually. And interestingly, 3 of the associates are today employed by my parent company, the John Keels Group, in the finance function. On the strength of this project, they were contracted by Art Bank in the US for cataloging works of art which were sold for millions of dollars in Christie's and Sotheby's. It's not just the work, it's also the impact on lives. And if you were to listen to some of the life stories, you would see heartrending stories of how this has touched their lives, how it has transformed their families, and many of them are the main breadwinners in their family. So we are very proud that we were able to start a unique concept, but more importantly, to make a difference and to touch lives. We come to our third center, Jaffna BPO Technologies, which is today 8 years in operation and employs 15 associates and over 500,000 transactions on SAP. Very disciplined, outstanding productivity, fantastic work. The picture here captures the visit by the Honorable Nivad Cabral, Minister of Capital Markets, earlier this year when he visited Jaffna BPO Technologies. So what was achieved through this project? What were the CSR accomplishments? Number one, sustainable employment for 50 youth, with over 200 receiving employment throughout the last decade. The opportunity to work from home without the need to relocate to cities. Women's employment and empowerment. The CEOs of all 3 units are women. 90% of those employed are women. An alternative career choice to farming, military, and fishing. Opportunity to work in a city office environment with computers, with connectivity, and in a air-conditioned environment. A higher percentage of savings for their families, as they are saving on transport, on lodging, and on meal costs. Family units are kept intact, avoiding social issues. Provides a case study for future BPM capacity development and expansion. And the youth have received life-changing training and development and new skills, which has transformed their lives. And it also has important applications at a national level. The project demonstrates the capability of rural youth, if given the chance, to meet stringent service levels at an international level. Over the 12 years, the youth have proved their ability to work on systems like SAP and align with the corporate best practices of a company such as the John Keells Group. It showcases the power of the BPM industry and of the internet to create jobs. And it's a true example of a sustainable project. Informate benefits from lower attrition, from a stable workforce and arbitrage, whilst also creating employment and improving living standards for talented youth. So I would like to introduce this concept of impact sourcing, which is socially responsible outsourcing, which has many of the business benefits, such as lower costs, lower attrition, greater access to talent and local markets, whilst helping economically disadvantaged low-income areas or socially disadvantaged minority and gender groups. So it's a win-win, impact sourcing. In closing, I would like to acknowledge the help and support of the ICT Agency of Sri Lanka, the John Keells Foundation, the Foundation for Advancing Rural Opportunities, Mrs. Lovina Charles and Horizon Academy, Kushil Gunasekara and the Foundation of Goodness, Thana Sivasambu and Spectra Skills Jaffna, and of course, SLASSCOM. And I would like to leave you with this thought. Impact sourcing could open the door for reaping business benefits, such as world-class processors, access to talent, higher quality, cost optimization, whilst making a social impact. And this could be achieved in partnership with one of the Sri Lankan companies, which can then open the door and the avenue to work with a rural BPM unit benefiting rural youth. So this might be one way that you can help support Sri Lanka through work, through the concept of impact sourcing. Thank you very much. It's been an honor and a privilege.